Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to today's show. I'm Michaela, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. As New Year approaches, many of us are thinking about resolutions. But let's be honest, how often do those January goals actually stick? That's why I'm thrilled to have a very special guest with me today, Patricia Peters. She's a modern shaman, founder of Women Unlimited International, and an expert in helping women achieve freedom and fulfillment. Now, before I go into it, just because she helps women doesn't mean she can't help anyone. Okay, so all right, so together we'll be diving into why New Year's resolutions so often fail, and more importantly, what we can do instead. So, from understanding the emotional and physical reasons behind failed resolutions to exploring how rituals, self compassion, and aligned intentions can create lasting transformation, we're here to guide you towards a new approach for a fresh start. So grab your tea, settle in, and get ready for an inspiring and practical conversation to kick off your new year with purpose and balance. So let's dive in. Welcome, Patricia. I am so happy to have you here today.
Hi, Michaela. I'm happy as well. Thank you so much for having me.
So, for those of you who are just tuning in, Patricia is one of my new recurring guests. So, she and I will be having many conversations to come. So, you can catch she and I talking on the fourth Friday of each month. So, feel free to tune in, if you want to get some more empowerment and, help create soul alignment and all of that good stuff. So, all right, so let's just jump in. So Patricia is kind of like me. She's kind of a geek girl as well. So, we own it, okay? So geeks unite, all right? So we're going to start off by talking a little bit about the science behind resolution failure. Okay, so some of the common reasons that resolutions fail are lack of planning, unrealistic goals, and an all for nothing mindset. Okay, so we kind of it's like we create these lists and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and we're so gung ho about it. And then, we start off, and then, you know, a week or two later, it's like, okay, but there is a reason why those don't work. Okay. So from my perspective, the naturopathic perspective, we have to talk a little bit about the mind body connection and things like emotional stress, unresolved trauma, and even like physical conditions like fatigue or inflammation. Those can all block our progress. We can have really good intentions, but sometimes there are other factors at play that just block us from doing what we really well intended to do. Even emotional patterns and physical stress can sabotage our well-intended resolutions. And so I want to chat with Patricia a little bit about this particular science part of things and the psychological and neurological reasons why resolutions fail. She's a really big expert in this area of this. So I want to let her take over this point of topic. So Patricia, in your experience, what are some of the biggest mental barriers to sticking with resolutions? So,
Okay. So, of course, there are usually multiple reasons. However, most of our resolutions, especially for the new year, they come from our logical mind because we want some change. And those resolution usually aim for the better, like better health, better habits. So it's around I will stop smoking, I will go to the gym,
mhm,
I will only eat healthy, whatever. However, it's usually made up with good intention by the logical mind.
mhm, yeah.
Usually, there is not enough emotion behind it because everything what's important in life for us is very closely tied to strong emotions. And
Yeah.
the more important it is for us, the more intense are the emotions. And this goes both ways, positive and negative. So one big reason for failure in terms of resolution is if it's only made up by your logical mind, but your innermost, your emotions say, maybe nice to have, but that's like driving a car without gas in the tank.
Right.
So that's a big one. And the motivation to change something, or in general, the motivation to do something or to stop doing something, is because we hope that we are going to feel better as a result. But if there's not enough emotion, only the logical mind, those are the resolutions that stick maybe January 1st till noon, whatever, or for a week, and then fades away. So that's a big one. Another thing, of course, is, and we are diving very deeply into the psyche of people, or into the subconscious mind. I mean, there are different words, and it's just words, so you can put in whatever fits for you. As a survival mechanism, we are programmed to avoid change. Of course, change, the unknown, change for most people is not safe, because you're comfortable, even if it's not good, but okay, I'm safe, I know everything, so there won't be any surprises. And here is where our conditionings come in, our programming, our belief system, because beliefs are the underlying, our default system. So even if our logic mind believes, oh, this is good for you because you are going to be healthier. However, if your programming, if your subconscious mind believes, I'm afraid this might be so dangerous for me.
You're right.
All the resistance comes up, and the resistance can show up as bad feelings or thoughts. And sometimes our subconscious mind, our programs are so strong that those resistances even manifest in outer obstacles.
Right.
I guess you know that. All of a sudden we get sick, or we end up in a traffic jam, or whatever. Something breaks and we have to fix it. So everything that distracts us from our goal or from our intention. So it's important to incorporate or to address your emotions and your beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. So that goes back to what I was saying about the body mind connection. It's like body, mind, and spirit. It's like, you got logical mind, you got emotion, and as you said, is if there is not enough emotion behind it, sometimes that can derail you, because when you first make that resolution, you're really gung-ho and there's a lot of emotion behind it, and then later on, not so much, because other things have grabbed your attention. And so the emotion part of it has waned a little bit. But one of the other things that you had said that I made a note here to come back to is change. And change on the subconscious level can equal fear for many people.
For people,
and
fear, because if you talk to them, or if you ask them, no, I'm not afraid because I want to have this, I want to change.
And you may want to change it, but deep down there's that fear of change. And then when there's fear of change, the subconscious kicks in, and it wants to keep you safe. The brain wants to keep you safe. So it wants to keep you in that.
And whenever your logical mind and your emotions, or your subconscious mind, when they are in a battle, in a fight, the subconscious mind or the emotion always wins. I mean, always.
Yes.
You need to have very, very strong willpower and or assistance to push through when those two guys are in a fight.
Exactly. Which we're going to talk about
all the time, of course.
Exactly. Which we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a little bit. But absolutely. So, again, there is science behind why resolutions fail.
Yes.
And in a little bit, we're also going to talk about what you can do instead. But before we get to that, let's talk about what one of the things that I often talk a lot about, and that's about root causes. Okay. So
Mhm.
most resolutions are all about you wanting to change something for
Mhm.
some reason or another. And usually it's most resolutions are going to be along health lines. Just
Mhm.
from my experience,
Usually.
most of them is it's along health lines. It's like I want to get healthier. I
Yeah.
want to eat better. I want to exercise. So
Yeah.
it's usually around some sort of health
Mhm.
change.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you need to ask yourself, though, what's really going on that's creating the situation that makes you want to change.
Yes.
And so it's very important, particularly when you're looking at health and just our life in general, to look at it from a holistic point of view, because sometimes it's not an issue of willpower, as you said, but
Mhm.
deeper emotional or physical imbalances.
Mhm.
So, for instance, in my line, what I deal a lot with is people who deal with a lot of chronic inflammation or chronic stress, which they're
Mhm.
closely tied because stress
They
creates
together.
inflammation, and the longer that goes, the more imbalances you see in the body. And I try to help my clients to understand it's like, okay, disease is a collection of symptoms. Symptoms are caused by imbalances. So
Mhm.
what's really causing the imbalance? What
Mhm.
is the root cause that is going on? Is
Mhm.
it some sort of unresolved physical imbalance,
Mhm.
like a gut issue or
Mhm.
inflammation, as I mentioned? Or is it some sort of emotional trauma
Yeah.
that's
Trauma.
holding, yeah,
Yes.
that's holding you
Negative
back? Yeah,
experience that can be outside of your memory. It can be something you experienced in childhood where
hmm,
your cognitive memory has no access to because you were too little. And then you are wondering, okay, there is no reason right now in my life why am I
right.
skipping what I wanted to do, for example? Why am I always running into the same issues over and over again? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can be, and you've already mentioned this a little bit, limiting beliefs. Sometimes I always try to help my clients understand what you believe about yourself
Mhm.
and about your situation can drastically affect your
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
Because
Might also matter.
if you deep down believe that you can't heal, guess what? No matter
Mhm.
what you do, you will not heal because you will, on a subconscious level, hold yourself back from doing the things that you need to do in order to heal properly.
And the
And that's
thing is, oh, sorry, yeah.
no,
The the thing is, those beliefs usually are so sabotaging and so unlogical, and that's the reason why they are so hard to discover sometimes because they do not make any sense. You know?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And then what I tell my clients is, okay, if you can't, no matter how deep you dig, if you can't come up with the true reason because it's so out of space,
Right.
just look at your life because your life will tell you. And then
Yeah,
be honest. And then you will see, okay, there must be some belief around that,
right.
some very deeply rooted belief. And the other thing, because you were talking about the root cause, yes. If you do not eliminate or address and transform the root cause, just dealing with the symptoms or with some quick
Mhm.
fixes,
Mhm.
um, that's like cutting back weed or thorns. If you don't remove the root, it will
No.
always grow back. So you will have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And the thing is similar to a drug addict. You will you will need to do it in more and more in shorter and shorter intervals.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you will need to do more and more and more and more if you do not address the root cause. So
Right. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned something about, it's like, cutting down the weeds, but not dealing with the root and it grows back. And that made me think specifically because we're talking about resolutions and many resolutions tend to do with health and a lot of them are weight related.
Mhm.
And oftentimes there are other issues that are involved in weight issues. And it's not just a matter of calories in, calories out, and doing more exercise and that kind of stuff. And I've seen it a lot because I have a lot of clients come to me
Mhm.
for weight assistance. And we usually have to not only address nutritional issues, but emotional and other physical issues as well. For
Mhm.
instance, one of the things that I often find when on the physical side of things is when someone comes in and they have a lot of excess weight, one of their root causes is,
Protection
yes.
from
And
abuse. I
well, that's the emotional side of stuff, but weight is usually a protection of some sort. Okay,
Mhm.
on the physical side of things, sometimes the excess fat is there to protect the vital organs from the toxins in the body.
Mhm.
So if you don't deal with the
Yes.
underlying cause of the excess toxins you have in your body, you can starve yourself. You might lose a few pounds, but
Mhm.
then when you go back to regular eating, the weight comes right back on because you haven't dealt with the toxins and the body is still trying to protect itself
Mhm.
because its main goal is survival. The body is still trying to protect itself from those toxins. So
Yeah.
you're going to put that weight right back on. Same
And another
thing.
Another interesting factor is, and this might sound maybe woo even for some people, however, there is science around it, and this is proven. It can be ancestral memory. For example, it could be your parents or even your grandparents or generations before, when they were starving, for example.
Yes,
There
yes.
is memory, and then your body, of course, keeps everything.
Exactly.
Also to
And
protect
yeah,
so
and
much.
we call that generational trauma
Yes.
in what I deal with.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes it can be inherited, just like you
Mhm.
inherit eye color and other
Yep.
things. You
Yep.
can
Memory.
inherit those energies
Yes, and
from,
sometimes it
yeah.
skips generations, so it's not necessarily your parents. It can be your grandparents or even way, way earlier. Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting fact, particularly with women.
Mhm.
Sometimes a lot of the ancestral stuff that I found
Mhm.
for women, it comes from the grandmother. And
Mhm.
here's the and I think the technical term for it is epigenetics. I'm not sure, but
Mhm.
so I'll have to look it up. So don't take
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
to be the gospel.
Mhm.
But if you think about it, when your grandmother was pregnant with your mother,
Mhm.
when a girl child is formed, she's formed with all the eggs that she is going to produce in her lifetime.
Yes.
So you,
Mhm.
as an egg,
Mhm.
were in your mother
Mhm.
when your grandmother was pregnant with her.
Very
So many of the times, the energies and the emotions and the trauma that the grandmother felt
Mhm.
will transfer to the fetus she's carrying, mother, which
Yes.
gets transferred into the eggs that
Yes.
mom is carrying. Isn't
And
that wild?
and there is another pretty wild thing, and this is tied to biology. You know that I guess you know probably, and maybe your audience also knows. Our mitochondrial DNA is
Mhm.
only passed through the maternal line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So we are
absolutely.
way more, although we have DNA 50-50, father, mother, but the mitochondrial DNA is only from the mother, from the maternal line.
Yeah,
So we are a little bit more than our mothers, and some might not want to hear this, but that's also a reason. And the mitochondria, they are basically the power plants of our cells.
yeah,
So imagine your power plants, where your life force is kind of created and
right,
distributed.
right.
Just, play with this thought for a minute.
Yeah.
Of
Well, and
course.
I want to jump back to because we had started talking about that, and particularly in weight, the
Mhm.
the whole protection from
Yeah.
emotional trauma.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. Many of the clients that I've dealt with, it's more emotional than physical. Sometimes we have to deal with the physical, but
Mhm.
generally it's more emotional than physical. And majority of the time, it has to do with protection from some sort of trauma that happened in the past, whether it's early childhood or recent trauma. I
Mhm.
call it the fat armor. It's like you put on this
Mhm.
armor to protect yourself. And
Yeah.
until you deal with the emotional causes of that, you won't be able to drop that armor.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so you're going to hold on to that,
Mhm.
as long as it takes for you
Yes.
to deal with that, to
Mhm.
drop the armor. And sometimes it's also a matter of trying to hide, it's like you're
Mhm.
trying to hide yourself for some reason. So what's the best way to hide? It's like you put on a lot of extra weight so people won't look at you. Of course, sometimes it goes the opposite. You put on too much and people are staring at you like, oh my gosh, but but that's another thing. It's like,
Mhm.
but yeah, there is always something else that is going on. So it's very important for us to look at the root causes rather than looking for quick fixes. And
Yes.
so many a times resolutions are trying to bring about some sort of quick fix.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why they don't work, because you haven't looked at the root cause of what's really going on.
Yes. 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 And the other thing is, a lot of times with the resolutions, they are not a quick fix because stopping
Yeah.
stopping smoking, for example, you won't see a ton of improvement after a day
Right,
or a week.
right,
So it's not about immediate gratification, it's delayed gratification. And
right.
I mean, most people, especially nowadays, they are so, and it also has to do with social media and everything. We are under this influence of so many stimuli, and it's all about immediate gratification.
Right.
Immediate, you get this kick, you are in the spiral of dopamine, and so the long term stuff is so unattractive.
Right. Well, and which leads to another reason why they fail, because we're looking for this quick fix. And when we don't see immediate results, we give up.
You say, oh, it doesn't work. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what people can do instead of
Mhm.
resolutions.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
one of the tools that I often recommend to my clients is about creating rituals. And I know the word ritual may sound a little woo for some people that are listening,
Call
but
it a bit.
rituals are basically, they're like just like creating a practice, if you
The
will, a
practice, yeah.
consistent
Habit.
practice. And that's going to do a lot more for you than creating a resolution,
Mhm.
because rituals themselves are rooted in consistent practice, and they're more effective than a rigid resolution. Resolution is generally just like this vague thing of, I'm going to do this. But if you set up a consistent practice of, okay, each day I am going to get up and I am going to walk first thing in the morning,
Mhm.
even if you start with 5 minutes and then increase it to 10 minutes, if you make it a ritual and put something in place that makes it easier for you to do it, even, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
like for instance, walking in the morning is one of the often suggested things that I do for clients. Is like, okay, start walking. One
Mhm.
of the easiest ways to do that is get your clothes ready the night before, set your shoes
Prepare.
by your bed. So
Mhm.
when you get up, it's there,
Yeah.
it's ready. Okay, so
Yeah.
you made it easier for you to
Yeah.
do that. And then
Yes. You
once you
make
start
it the
doing it,
environment. Yeah.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
keep doing it, it
Yes.
becomes part of your routine.
Yes. And those
And
routines automatically, without additional effort, they when you repeat them over and over and over again, they override those limiting or those traumatic beliefs and experiences.
yes, yes,
So you need to
absolutely.
do it. So it needs a lot of repetition. Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of the other health focused rituals that I often recommend for people is also like mindfulness and grounding. I know
Mhm.
that we can get a little woo for some people because it's like you start talking about meditation, like, oh, meditation, I don't know how to meditation. It's like, okay, meditation is simply just like sitting and being. It's like you can meditate just simply by finding a quiet place and sit and you just listen to your breath. It's focus on your breath. So, but that
There are
grounds you.
thousands of methods of meditation,
Yeah.
and you can even consider, for example, a prayer can be a meditation,
Yes, absolutely.
or observing, connect with nature, sit there in quiet and watch the sun coming up can be a meditation. So
Exactly, exactly.
really woo.
Right, exactly. And like for people, like I have people that'll often say, "Well, I can't sit and be quiet. I don't like the quiet." It's like, well, put on some music, listen to some ocean sounds. You can sit for 5 minutes listening to ocean sounds. That also can count as meditation. Even your walking, you can make that into a meditation.
Yes.
There are many exercises. Like for instance, I love Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is
Mhm.
often described as moving meditation.
Yes.
And you have certain moves that you do, and while you're
Mhm.
doing it, you're focused on your breath and
Mhm.
the movement, and that brings
That
you
puts
into this
you into.
grounded state. Not that everybody has to do
Mhm.
a named practice
Mhm.
or something that has moves that you need to learn. There are so many things that people can do simply for themselves
Yes.
that can help them take those steps towards what they're trying to achieve. And then once they get into the routine and the habit of doing it,
Mhm.
eventually they will see it pay
See
off.
the effect.
And that does so much better, I
Yes.
feel, for helping them reach the goals that they're trying to reach than just creating this random resolution.
Yes, and this overwhelm. And you said something beautiful. So when you were talking about first thing in the morning, you get up and you start to walk, for example. Um, it's important because also our subconscious mind freaks out when it thinks, okay, this is forever. So
Yeah,
whenever eternity comes in, or from now on, every day, our subconscious mind usually freaks out totally. So what you can do to kind of trick it out of this state is, just for today, I decide to walk. Or even better, just now for the next 5 minutes, I decide. And all of a sudden, our subconscious mind is quiet,
yeah,
plays along. you
yeah.
know just this imagination of, oh my gosh, from now on forever, and I'm doomed to fail, I won't follow through, and all this inner chatter. So no, just for today, or just for now, for the next 10 minutes I'm going to walk, or whatever you want to do.
Right,
And if it's about dropping a bad habit, for example, the magic wand is not to drop it, because if you only drop it, then there is this empty space, and our
right.
subconscious mind hates empty spaces.
Yeah.
And your thoughts are only circling about the next cigarette or whatever it is, or chocolate bar.
Hmm.
So, also, just for now, and then you replace it with a better habit. So for example, when
Right,
I work with clients and they want to get rid of a bad eating habit or cigarettes or so, I tell them, replace it with something that's very easy to do. For example, instead of smoking, do 5 push-ups or whatever, or go for a short walk, or something, or do the
yeah,
dishes. Start, even if it's just, if you just rinse 1 cup or something like that. One simple. Best is to do some physical stuff instead of.
right, right,
And those are ways to trick your mind, to trick your subconscious mind, to trick your beliefs out of sabotaging you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've often heard that described as habit stacking, where
Mhm.
you kind of just put something else either on top of it or in place of it to make it easier to
Yes. Yes.
let the self-conscious mind deal with it. There is some.
And don't overwhelm yourself. Start with one thing, and
Yeah,
start with the thing that's easy for you, so that you have some kind of success experience. because then it's easier for you to tackle the next thing. Don't start with the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always tell my clients, start small, because
Small and consistent.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because it may be a baby step, but a baby step is still a step.
Yes.
You know, and if you start small, there's less chance of you falling backwards.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
And then
then
there's the thing that comes in with the habits or the rituals and the consistency. So there is this saying in the kind of shamanism that I studied, is the difference between what they call strong willpower or weak willpower is strong willpower makes a decision and makes it again and again and again and again. And the weak willpower makes a decision and changes it and changes it and changes it. You know, so make small, teeny tiny decisions, make small steps, small habits, and then repeat them. And you automatically, you override, you overrule those bad habits and those outdated programmings.
yeah, absolutely. And it's really easy to just kind of sit down, and when you're thinking about making resolutions, what is the outcome of what is the outcome you really want
Mm-hmm.
from this resolution? And
Yes.
then decide, okay, what are some small things that I can do to
Mm-hmm.
reach those goals, and then take those small things and create rituals from those.
Yes.
So you are putting in place the habits that are going to help you be healthier or achieve what it is that you want to achieve in the long run, and then you can keep doing that. And so it's a much better approach.
And there's also another thing, and I hope I can say this because it seems counterintuitive, although latest research like neuroscience proves it. So I guess you know that people are mainly driven by two approaches. It's either avoiding pain or it's moving towards pleasure. So, and this is moving towards pleasure is, yes, find your why, find your goal, and go towards it. However, most of the people are intrinsically more motivated to avoid pain. So some trick, and you have to be very, very self-aware, and please be very honest. Sometimes we need to scare ourselves into action. So what we do, so sometimes, yes, you get up and you say, okay, now I talk myself into walking because I'm going to feel so good, but it doesn't work. So sometimes you need to scare yourself into action by catastrophizing what will happen when you quit this good habit, you know. And sometimes this gives you the literal kick in the butt to start doing. So
Yeah.
And
Start thinking about things like, well, if I don't keep my body moving, eventually I will get, stiff, and I won't be able to move. And then where will I be?
So a way is to really be honest with yourself and just access, okay, what will work, and you will figure out over time, you know. And then you will see, okay, am I more a type of person who is on the positive side, who goes for their goals, or am I more this kind of person who needs this kick and this?
Right.
So,
and absolutely.
It's fine.
Yeah.
There's right or wrong.
Absolutely. And self-awareness is key to really achieving your goals, and and finding your purpose and your joy and so many other things. You have to be self-aware, and so many people are not. And that's why they end up in these positions where they feel like they have to make these resolutions to make change, because they have not been self-aware for so long that they have either made decisions that were not in alignment with their purpose and goals, and so now they're way off, or they have no idea what it is that they really want to do or should be doing. And when I'm dealing with my clients, one of the big things that I try to help them do is to become self-aware, because My goal is to help them to learn about themselves.
Mhm.
So going forward, they can take care of themselves. It's like, yes, I
Mhm.
can give you all the tools and tell you what to do and everything for now, but
Mhm.
eventually you need to be able to do this
Mhm.
yourself.
Yourself.
And the way you're going to be able to do that is knowing about yourself.
Yes.
So self-awareness, and not only self-awareness, but also self-compassion. Because we mentioned earlier about how sometimes, we give up and
Mhm.
because,
Blame
and then,
ourselves and
yeah,
the negative self-talk, and because usually we are our biggest critics.
yes, yes, we start to beat ourselves up. And you can't do that either because, yeah,
Mhm.
even with the best intentions and the best rituals, sometimes you will fall off.
Yes.
And it's just as important
Yeah.
when you fall off to just get back on and keep going.
Yeah.
There's a saying here in the States that, by the way, she's in Germany, everyone. There's a saying here in the States about it's not how many times you fall off the horse, it's how many times you get back on.
Yeah. Right.
So it's
Back
like,
up.
okay, you know what? You fail. You didn't want to eat all that sugar and junk food, and you had something and you kind of binged a little. Okay, it happens.
Yes.
Resolve to, and this is the only time you can do resolutions. Resolve to not beat yourself up over it. Get
Yeah.
back up and just keep going and moving forward.
Yes.
So that's very important. And then some of
Yeah.
the tools that, oh, you have something you wanted to add before I go into the tools?
Yeah. So about around the self-compassion and the self-awareness, and when you failed, you ate tons of sugar, especially maybe now with the holiday season coming up. So this has happened. You can't do anything about it. So a good practice is to acknowledge, just to say, okay, I ate it, period. Acknowledge. Don't try to push it away. Acknowledge. And then try to acknowledge without any judgment. So it's
Mm,
not good, it's not bad. It just is. It happened, period. And then
yeah.
turn around and move on.
Yes, absolutely. We must have self-compassion for ourselves. That is a big
Yes.
point because if we don't, that negative self-talk will
Mhm.
eat us up and it will keep us down
And
and it will
it's so
keep us
useless because it's already happened, so we can't do anything about it. So
exactly, exactly.
worse. It's like going in the car, 100 miles an hour and always looking in the rear view mirror. So that's a recipe to crash.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And along with, the self-compassion, as I mentioned, self-awareness is also a huge key.
Yes.
And one of the tools that I often recommend is journaling. I love journaling.
Mhm.
A lot of people, when you start mentioning journaling, it's like, oh, I don't want. It's like, but
Mhm.
journaling can be as simple as just writing down how you feel for that day, or writing down what you want to accomplish for that day, or
Yes.
writing down, some intention you want to set for that day. For instance, since we're talking about self-compassion as well, you
Action
can
is
you can you can say, my intention for today is to not beat myself up.
be kind to me.
Be kind to me, yes.
Yeah.
And that's a good start of self-awareness because then you start to
A
become aware of the
wonderful
times that
exercise
you
for those intentions for people. It's totally easy.
sure, share it, please.
So there are two sweet spots to set intentions. One is first thing in the morning when you wake up, even if
Mhm.
you're still in bed. And the second one is right before you fall
Yes.
asleep. And it
Yes.
literally, it only takes like 60 seconds. Of course, you can do it longer and you can do it during the day. You can repeat it. But setting four intentions
Mm,
on the physical level, like your body, on
yeah.
the emotional level, on the mental level, your thoughts, and on the spiritual or soul level. And it's so easy. So you just need to, you can close your eyes and then try to feel it with all the fibers of your body, because then it's very, very effective. And you have only those four words. In the morning, you go power, love, awareness, joy.
All right. Awesome. Write that down.
Power is for your body, healthy, but powerful body. Love, of course, you don't need to explain that.
Yeah.
And feel the love for
Yeah.
yourself as well. Awareness.
Yeah.
And you don't need to understand those concepts intellectually. Just with your eyes closed,
Yeah.
repeat it and feel it. And joy also. It's joy, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. And joy is one of those misunderstood words
Mhm.
because everyone
Nothing to do
thinks
with
joy.
fun.
Yeah, everyone thinks of
No,
joy being and it's like no,
no,
joy.
no.
It's not. It's like
Really
some.
calm and
Yes,
yeah,
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And and you mentioned the best times to do that, and yeah, it's very interesting because there is a science behind that, and it's
Mhm.
because for those of you who are wondering, that's when we're closest to our theta
Mhm.
wave,
And then
and
we set intentions. We set
yeah,
the intention for the day, and
yeah,
at night we set the
yeah,
intention for our sleep. And
yeah,
of course, at night there are for different. At night it's relaxation,
yeah,
so
nice,
body.
yeah,
Um, oh, sorry. Oh, alignment.
yeah,
Your emotions are aligned. Serenity for the thought,
yeah,
and then peace or
awesome,
protection, whatever you like. So
awesome.
in the morning it's play, but not try with a J,
Yeah.
play, and in the evening it's rest. So
All
that you
right.
can
So repeat that for people so they can write it down. I'm gonna
okay,
write it
so
down too. So
in the morning it's play, power, love, awareness, joy. And at night it's rest, like in raspberry.
mm-hmm.
Relaxation, or you can also say rest, alignment, serenity, and then peace or protection, whatever you prefer. And just recite those words internally and feel them. Works wonders.
Well, there you have it, folks. You have something simple to kind of get you going on this. Yeah, I often find too that first thing in the morning and in the evening before you go to bed, it's also a good time for affirmations for those who like to do
Mhm,
affirmations as well, because it helps them to really get
mhm.
in deep into our subconscious and our psyche and really embody what we're trying to produce.
Primes your brain
Mhm.
and
Yeah, yeah. So, but I love this that these are just so they're just simple words. It's like four simple words in the morning and in the evening. I mean, what could be easier than that?
and if I might share another tip during the day is what I call the heart smile. So just focus on your heart, your physical heart. You do not need to close your eyes. And imagine that your heart is literally smiling.
It
And
makes me
let this
smile
smile
physically.
spread. Yeah, and you will notice when you start smiling. And
Hmm.
you can start smiling, but imagine, visualize your heart, your physical heart smiling, and how this smile spreads, and you can't help but smile.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it lifts your mood, your
yeah.
vibration, your yeah.
Yes, because in the end, it is about vibration. I
Mhm.
know that sounds very hippie to a lot of people, but it really is because and this
You
is where
you
this is
can exchange brainwave. You can say brainwave.
yeah, it's like if you get right down to it, the science of it all, it's about frequency and vibration. We all have frequency and vibration. The frequency and vibrations of the world impacts us. The frequency and vibrations of other people affects us. I often will explain it to those who are more straight laced. It's kind of like you can feel someone walk into the room even if you can't see them. It can
Yeah,
be dark. Somebody can walk in the room, you can feel them because they're giving off that
yeah.
vibration
Yeah.
that you feel that you're going to respond to. So
Mhm.
either it's going, so whatever it is, whether it's fear or it's somebody because they've been in your presence before, or if it's someone
Mhm.
that has ill intent, you feel that because that is a vibration. And when we are happier and joyful and, and self-compassionate, we vibrate higher.
Yes.
And when we are talking down to ourselves and we're negative and we are, feeling guilt and shame, we vibrate lower.
Right.
And it just is. And that's science. So
Yes.
it's not woo, it's science.
I mean, there are so many studies, for example, and tests that have been run, how also our body posture and our mimics affect our emotions and vice versa. There is so many studies around this, sit like this and eyes half closed, and
yeah.
there
Well,
is the biofeedback. There is proof. Just try it.
Yeah. That reminds me, and I don't remember who was it. There is some author that talks about doing the Superman pose to kind of lift yourself up. It's like, chest up, head up, hands on the hips, and how that changes your whole demeanor, your whole energy and everything. So so it absolutely.
And even if you are not on the woo or the hippie side, just look at body language. When you enter a room with more people, a couple of people in it, you can immediately spot who's the alpha dog.
Yeah.
Because they have a different posture.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
and that's awareness on a different level. That's not only self-aware.
The body doesn't lie. The body doesn't lie.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk then a little bit about actionable alternatives that people can do for lasting change. Because again, if you're making resolutions, you're trying to change something. And we've already talked about how, sometimes you make the resolutions, they don't really last and you kind of give up on it. And, we talked about baby steps and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about actual things that people can do. And not only that, but the importance of aligning the changes with their personal values and priorities. Because for me, again, it's all about body, mind, and spirit and soul, which spirit and soul, although a lot of people interchange those, they're different. Okay. You can do a lot more when it's aligned with your overall purpose. And that's the whole point of the body, mind, spirit, and soul, is being in alignment. And so when your goals and the things that you're trying to change, when they're in alignment with who you are, your authentic self, that's where the self-awareness comes in. When they're in alignment with who you are and what you really want to be about, it makes it easier to make those changes. And then when you start seeing those changes, it totally changes the way you see yourself. And then you make even more changes for the positive. And you baby step in your way into that lasting change. So what are some things that you often, what is your framework for setting meaningful intentions and goals? So what do you recommend for the people that you work with? Since you're the empowerment lady, tell us, how do we, really?
I already kind of gave you the magic wand, the simple exercise in the morning and in the evening. It's not just that you set your intentions for the day and the night sleep with this little exercise. What this exercise also does, especially when you add this heart smile to it, it connects you to your true self on all 4 levels: the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual level. It connects you to your true self. And the true self, in my definition, is this part of you that exists beyond any negative programming or limitation. So when you are in alignment with your true self, you automatically start to make the right decisions. You automatically start to move forward in your purposeful right direction. Because people, And yes, we are programmed and we are told, oh, this is also complicated and finding your purpose. And there's a lot of hoopla around all of those concepts. Whereas the truth is, usually it's very simple.
Yeah.
So with those simple but powerful exercises, especially when you repeat them over and over again, you aligned yourself with your true self. And it will become your natural mode, your natural
Yes.
vibration. And then you do not need to every time you have to decide something, you do not need to think hard about it. You feel those subtle but also very impactful changes in your entire life, in your entire way of being.
Yes. Yes.
And
So
it might sound a little conceptual right now because you need to experience it, but it's very, very simple. You just need to incorporate it into your day by day by day. But once you get used to it, you do not want to miss it anymore.
yes. Yes. So
Because life starts flowing way better.
yeah. Yeah. It becomes just part of who you are. And
Yes.
yeah. And so you don't have to
Yeah.
think about it. It becomes
Yeah.
automatic. It's
Yeah.
natural. It's yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, there are those practices, and people might know about this for sure, I guess, um, like the gratitude practice, of course,
Oh,
and
yes.
forgiveness. However, it has to be done the right way. And most people forget when they do gratitude practice, they are grateful for other people or for the things they have, and so on and so forth. However, a very powerful way of practicing gratitude is to also include to think or to journal about, okay, for example, today, who expressed gratitude towards me? What did I do so that someone expressed their gratitude? And it could be the little baby that smiles at you. It could be the dog wagging its tail.
Right.
It's the small things. So try to make note of when was gratitude expressed towards you. And then the next step, number 3, is be express gratitude towards yourself, as in
Yes.
notice, okay, this is I'm grateful just for who I am. I'm grateful for whatever that today I followed through, my resolutions, something like that. And
Yeah.
that's also very, very powerful. And most people forget it because we are trained in a different way.
Yes. Yeah. I love that additional of expressing gratitude for yourself
Yes.
and looking for when people have expressed gratitude for you, because I think that helps build us up as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Confidence, yeah.
Yeah. Because it helps us to understand, because I think we all want to know that we have a purpose and that we
Mhm.
are affecting people in a positive way.
Yes.
So, looking for when other people have expressed gratitude to us will help us to understand our
Mhm.
purpose and why we're here, and just help us to just be a little more gentle with ourselves, recognizing we are making a change. I
Yeah.
often heard purpose being described as it's not what you do, it's what happens in others when you do what you do.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And
And also a description of purpose. What's the purpose in life? So, but okay, now this is very, very self-aware, of course, and very spiritual, if you want to call it like that. Purpose in life is to fulfill the present moment in acceptance.
yes, well,
Mhm.
there you have it, folks. So we've talked a little bit about why resolutions don't work.
Mhm.
We've talked about things you can do in place of resolutions. We've given you all kinds of tips and tidbits and tools to help you to put rituals or routines in place that work much better than creating
Mhm.
resolutions. We've also touched on how you can make those more effective by self awareness and self compassion and just knowing what how to bring about the change that you are seeking. We also have touched on how sometimes you also need to look at the root causes of things and whether or not there's some emotional blockage or something else that is going on that also needs to be addressed in order for you to make those changes. But all of those changes, even if there's root causes, it starts with self awareness and understanding what your body is saying to you, understanding where your mind is, understanding what your beliefs are. Once you can understand those things, you can put in good routines and rituals in place that can help you make changes not only for the present but for the future as well. And so they're long lasting to the
Mhm.
point that they become part of who you are and you don't have to keep making changes because you
Yes.
just are and
Yeah.
you are now embodying what
Mhm.
you set out
Mhm.
to accomplish.
Yes.
So yeah, so in the end, don't do the resolutions. Resolutions don't work. Okay. And there are other things that you can do. Go
Mhm.
back, and if you have to, if you didn't write it down, go back and listen again and write down the tools that we have given you that you can put in place that can help you to make those changes that you're looking for.
Mhm.
So before I end the show, I just like to ask Patricia if she has, some words of wisdom or something she wants to leave us with before we move on.
Yes, and this actually just came to me when I listened to your summary, because it's all about changes and personal development. So very important is accept who you are and what you are right now, because then it's way easier. You know, when you criticize yourself, oh, I need to improve myself.
Yes,
Accept and honor who you are, what you are, where you are right now, because you can make changes from that position. That's way easier and way joyfuller than, okay, I need to change because I'm not good enough.
exactly. And I'd
Mhm.
like to add to that too that you can love yourself and still want to make changes.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
so many people get wrapped up in I need to make these changes to the point that they are not loving themselves.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
you can do both. That they are not exclusive of each other. You can
Yeah.
love yourself and
Definitely.
still want to make changes for the
Yeah.
better.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely. Alrighty, so that is it for
Wonderful.
today's show. Thank you, Patricia, for joining the discussion and bringing
Yeah.
your
Thank you,
expertise
Michaela.
to us. And I look forward to having many more conversations with
Yeah.
you in the
Me
future.
too. Yeah. Thank
And so, for those of you who are considering resolutions this year, we are encouraging you to rethink that. Okay, try something new. Try
you.
something new. All right,
Mhm.
so that is it for today's show. Until next time, remember wellness isn't a destination, it's your daily journey.
Mhm.
See you next time.
Mhm. Mhm. Bye-bye.
This episode is brought to you by Living Naturally for Life and Women Unlimited International. Comment, like, subscribe.